Well, well, it seems the shoe is finally on the other foot. If you've watched me for quite a few years now, you'll know that I've always called out lolicons. I think they're some of the biggest creeps on the internet, and while I always thought this, it wasn't until I commented on their creepiness in passing that I learned how much they're willing to gang up and attack anybody who calls them exactly what they are, which is pizza enjoyers. I don't want to get struck by YouTube, you know how it is, but lolicons have attacked me many times in the past for calling them out, and it feels like I'm going up against legions every time. I'm always getting ratioed, I'm always getting outnumbered whenever I'm arguing with these freaks. It feels like anytime you attack one of them, you attack all of them. Which is why this creator, who has been well and truly cancelled for some of the funniest shit imaginable, deciding to die on Lolly Hill, as the internet has dubbed it, has been absolutely hysterical. You see, we're talking today about a YouTuber named Chibi Reviews. You might know him as the guy who got cucked by his best friend, who is currently actively clapping the cheeks of his ex-wife. Now, Chibi Reviews got exposed for a lot of horrible things alongside that, which of course led to his friend group dumping him, and his wife dumping him and getting with his best friend, of course. But on top of that, he's also a proud lolicon. And he's decided that now, since he's been cancelled, he's lost thousands and thousands of followers, he's got no friends, and everyone already hates him, that he's going to make a lolly defense video. And when he announced this on Twitter, he thought he was such a badass, I'm sure. But the whole internet's collective response has been to dogpile him and absolutely tear him a new one. And me, someone who spent years getting dogpiled by lolicons for calling them out as what they are, it's very cathartic. It feels so cathartic. You know, I'm just glad to see that they're not getting away with it scot-free anymore, because there are some large creators, like other large creators who are big fans of Lolly, as we found out, that themselves got away with it even once it was exposed. Bosh. Anyway, though, that aside, Chibi Reviews got called out by another YouTuber named Diesel Patches, and I thought we'd go ahead and dive into his video on Chibi Reviews and this whole drama, and I'd give you guys my thoughts, and maybe we can celebrate a little bit about the fact that these lolicons are finally getting dunked on like they deserve. Leave a like on this video if you want to boost it, especially since the creepos are no doubt going to be brigading this one. No doubt leave a nice comment down below as well to help, and let's get right into it, shall we?
There's this popular YouTuber named Chibi Reviews, who is known for being the #1 defender of anime when fighting against censorship, and he has gotten himself into an epic Twitter debate against another YouTuber named Schlep, who's known for catching predators through sting operations. The epic battle between these two started because Schlep made a post on Twitter saying, "I stand with Gideon when saying lolicon is pedophilia. Can't tell you how many predators I've caught that end up having some type of child erotica." And I'm not gonna go through the entire Twitter back and forth these two had, because Chibi decided to center a response video over just this one tweet where Schlep claims attraction to lolicon equals pedophilia, which is defined as a sexual interest in prepubescent children. I guess part of the debate is whether that term includes sexualized art depicting fictional minors, since why are certain people attracted to lolicon? Anyways, Chibi decided to make a response.
It does. It absolutely does. No beating around the bush. They're attracted to drawings of minors, as if the distinction between a picture of a minor and a drawing of a minor and a literal minor, when someone's attracted to either three, we should make any distinction at all, as if it fucking matters. No, it's literally just nitpicking for no reason. People who are lolicons are absolutely unequivocally fucking creeps, okay? That's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't think there's any debate to be really had about it. I don't think any normal person outside of the internet would be open to having that debate at all. Like, this is not even close to debatable.
Video because, to him, Schlep is making the argument that lolicon is just as bad as actual child sexual abuse material. He believes this because when Schlep originally made this post, he took out the word anime when describing child erotica, showing he's conflating the two. Now, I don't know for sure what the intent was here behind editing out the word anime, but if Schlep's position is that CSAM and lolicon are comparable, then that is an incredibly stupid position to have, considering only one actually inflicts harm on children. This smelly discussion fell under the spotlight because instead of Chibi just uploading a response,
I wouldn't say they're equally bad, but they're definitely on the same tier. I wouldn't quite try to build a wall between both those consumptions. Xander Hall, isn't Diesel Patches a reactionary? You covered one of his videos from some time ago when he said that iDubbbz was like a father to him. Oh yeah, he is a chud, don't worry. Obviously, we're not going to agree with everything this guy says. We watch things critically here.
Video on YouTube, he instead felt the need to announce to everyone that he's crafting a Lolicon defense video. Fuck it. I'm making a lolly defense video today. I've already been cancelled, had hundreds of thousands of death threats and false accusations. I have nothing to lose, and I will not stop speaking up for freedom of expression within artwork. Let me just start by saying, if you're expecting a video of Chibi talking about how—
I was not expecting the Final Fantasy XIV Empire music there, the Garlean Empire music, but I caught it. I heard it.
much he loves wanking it to little cartoon girls. You won't find it in this video. As smelly as it is to make a Lolicon defense video, most of Chibi's arguments are centered around protecting free speech. However, there is a difference when it comes to making an obvious distinction between CSAM and Lolicon, and then there's outright defending cartoon children being drawn for sexual gratification, along with sharing your obsession with sexualized cartoon children for you and your other creep friends to admire, which is exactly what this
The fact is that anybody who's trying to bring up these conversations in the first place is typically, like, a fucking weirdo. You know, like, the way that I got introduced to this whole sector of the internet was the Rev Says Desu guy, and his videos going viral claiming that an adult character from Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a lolly, and that the internet loves her, and so the internet is embracing lolly, was basically his thesis statement. And my response was, whoa, 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 hold on, you fucking weirdo. Just because the internet is embracing this short, viral character who is an adult in a show that's just come out, does not mean that the internet is embracing people simping for anime children and acting like predators. That is not... That is, you are trying to tear down the distinction here. And I called them out for exactly as such, and ever since, the Lolicons have had me on, like, their hit list, bro. Like, once a month it feels like they come brigading my comments, talking shit. It's wild. I don't know what you're referring to there, T-Girl Goddess.
dumpster fire of a video is. And just because CSAM is worse doesn't mean it's morally correct to defend fictional children being sexualized. Anyways, let's start.
I want to catch a lot of heat for this video and probably receive hundreds of thousands of death threats for even making a video discussing lollies and even trying to defend lollies, but we're gonna get right into it because I've already faced death threats, I've already faced slander, false accusations, people doxing me, sending me stuff in the mail, all sorts of horrific stuff for my stances on fictional content, so you know what, screw it.
Man, hold on, I gotta make myself bigger than him. He can't be larger than me, what the fuck?
I'm not gonna bow down and bend the knee. I'm gonna just straight up get into what needs to be said.
This has nothing to do with Chibi's argument or talking points, but I can't fucking stand this martyrdom attitude he projects. Like, he's the only one willing to stand up for the little guy and wants everyone to know.
I'm gonna get tons of hate, guys, but someone had to say it.
Yes, thank you, Chibi, for standing up for those who jerk off to cartoon children. Clearly, this marginalized group needs to be protected.
What really shocked me is that an individual that has their entire—
Bro, anime fans truly could not have it. Like, normie anime fans truly could not have worse representation on this planet, bro. Genuinely. I cannot blame the broader public for having the perception that they do of anime. You know what I mean? Like, I really can't. I really can't blame them. I had that perception for a long time. The first time I ever actually sat down and watched an anime, I was 19 years old, and it was Death Note. You know, thank God it was Death Note. You know, that definitely was what was needed to win me over. You know, but, like, before that, I was insufferably anti-anime. You know, I was very, like, 2016 Filthy Frank, like, haha, weebs kind of mindset, right? But unironically. So, it was people like this that drove me to that position, to be clear.
Career based around being a predator catcher is someone that cannot separate fiction from reality. That is what really blew me away when I saw this post.
They love this line, by the way. They love this. You can't separate fiction from reality. You can't separate fiction from reality. Doesn't matter, okay? Nobody is saying that the lollies you're jacking off to are real children. We're saying they are drawings of children, and you're attracted to them, and that makes you a creep. There's no confusion here, okay, buddy?
today and the amount of damage that this post and this individual is going to cause to actual real people and victims out there and allow criminals to actually get away.
What? Yes, apparently claiming that Lolicon enthusiasts are pedophiles is actually damaging to victims of CSAM and actually helps criminals get away. I'm very curious what he has to offer later on the video to back up this stance.
He also responded to me twice before I even uploaded this video, and instead of even countering the points I made, he decided to go straight into slandering me, bringing up my personal life that's completely irrelevant to the topic at hand.
So, Schlepp made fun of your fiance cucking you because you're into Lolicon, and you respond by saying,
Well, actually, my wife was also attracted to cartoon children.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it, to be honest. These two freaks being together absolutely makes sense. Yeah, I believe it, actually. Like, that, I don't even think he's lying about that.
owned.
And so let's just get right into this. So first off, let's address the elephant in the room, which is what Schlepp is talking about. He's talking about how lollies are basically, if you like lollies, you defend lollies, you're a PDF. That's what he is pretty much saying in this post.
No, he associated Lolicon with pedophilia, not lolly. One refers to characters that look like children, and the other sexualizes those same characters. I'm having a hard time believing you'd mix up the two, considering you're someone who looks at this shit every day, so I'm going to have to assume you're deceptively trying to downplay Schlepp's issue.
I'm gonna be honest, I think, listen, Diesel Patches is a conservative, so of course he doesn't have the perfect take, far from it, but like, I'm not even down to make any distinction between these little like sub-genres of it or whatever. Like, the people who do, listen, I'm not gonna say you're like a pedo if you're into some kind of age play or whatever, okay? But I'm definitely not going to be comfortable around you, okay? That's just, listen, I know, it's just my feelings, but that's just how I feel, alright? I don't like making the distinction between Lolicon and lolly or whatever. It's just weird shit, okay? The internet is full of weirdos, and weirdos on the internet oftentimes are open about it, but many of them like to be covert about it. I tend to assume malice, but the internet's taught me to do that.
With this material. In this tweet, he's not saying if you simply like lolly characters, you're a pedophile. He's saying if you're attracted to art that sexually depicts fictional children, you're a pedophile. Now, if Schlepp does believe lolly characters themselves are an issue, then Chibi needs to provide evidence of that being the case. Anyways, Chibi goes over Schlepp editing the tweets we covered already, and how this edit could come off as conflating CSAM with...
Remember, Schlepp is pretty based. He got banned falsely from Roblox, but, like, God, it was, what, 6 months ago? 8 months ago, maybe? Because he was exposing predators on there, and Roblox banned his account, and this led to the Free Schlepp movement. I remember that I covered that back when it happened.
Lolicon.
I don't think I need to really explain why this is bad, but it obviously is very disingenuous in trying to basically make a molehill into a mountain, or trying to make something look worse than it actually is, pretty much saying that, basically, nobody would care if it was a drawing, but the fact that he removed that wording of anime from it, it makes people tune in more to what he's saying and believe what he's saying is actually talking about real victims and real people that are actually getting harmed.
This might be the only semi-decent point Chibi makes if we assume that's Schlepp's position, but trust me, it's all downhill from here. We're about to enter a realm of delusion like we've never seen before. Remember when Chibi made the notion that claiming Lolicon is pedophilia?
What is his voice? Have you not heard the average voice of, like, anime creators? They have this very nasally, high-pitched, like... I guess the best you could put it is if you've ever heard DSP's voice and how it kind of hits this register that's hard to put into words, that's... A lot of these anime creators have that kind of voice. He sounds like a fucking lolly. Christ.
Can resort to real victims being harmed and actually serves to help criminals. Well, now we get to finally hear his brilliant logic.
You are a police officer in, you know, the office at the county sheriff office or whatever, and you only have a certain amount of officers. Let's say there's 30 or 50 officers within the police office. You receive a call that apparently someone is harming someone, and you take this call, you take it very seriously because it's your job. So you go and investigate, and when you go and investigate whatever's going on, you come to find out it's actually just a drawing. It's a pixel on the screen. It's nothing. There's nobody being hurt, no victims, nothing. It is just entirely a drawing on the screen. And I don't think I really need to outline why this is a problem, but all this does is...
There are many countries where you would in fact end up in prison in that case, by the way.
Stalls police from being able to actually catch real criminals and help victims be able to recover. It really just actually overloads the system, and it causes a limited amount of resources to be used for false calls. That's pretty much what happens in this case with people that can't separate fiction from reality.
Within this incredibly hyperbolic situation, we have a police force that is both understaffed and...
I need somebody to, like, speed up the clip of him talking about what he's talking about. Like that one meme where the guy's like quickly speaking and writing on the whiteboard, and to caption it, Lolicon's explaining how they're not pedophiles. Because I just love how much he has to say in order to get around this shit. In order to make it sound like I'm not a creep, guys. I'm not a creep. I'm not a creep.
Simultaneously swamped with Lolicon reports to the point that all of the child abuse stuff is being overlooked and not given priority. And this is apparently why anti-Lolicon is indirectly responsible for victims of CSAM being harmed. This is easily one of the biggest fucking reaches I've ever heard in my life. You're telling me there's this influx of Lolicon reports that's interfering with child abuse cases? Yeah, I think I would like to see some evidence of that if you don't mind. Or if this is simply just supposed to be a hypothetical, I don't find it believable at all. You think people jerking off to cartoon children are the problem? Well, take a look in the mirror, buddy. Another issue I have with Chibi's video, besides defending this grotesque shit, is his relentless pussyfooting for the bystanders of this discussion. What I mean is that in a way to defend himself, Chibi admits in his video, yeah, I understand if you think Lolicon is a little bit weird, and it's not your thing, and that's understandable.
Now, I do want to talk about something that does need to be acknowledged, and that is lolly in general. Now, look, I'm just gonna outright say it. If you find lollies and stuff weird, completely fine. I think there is nothing wrong with someone thinking it's weird, bizarre, whatever, you don't want to associate with people like that. Fine, that's completely fine. It's well within your rights to do that.
But right...
No, I mean, I'm gonna do more than that. I'm gonna occasionally talk about how weird that shit is when it comes up, you know?
After, he'll remind his viewers that some people believe Lolicon is just as bad as CSAM, in a way to distract viewers from him downplaying Lolicon.
However, you cross the line when you start calling people accusations that aren't true, for instance, calling them a PDF, or you start comparing a drawing or a pixel to an actual living, breathing human.
The reason why Lolicon enjoys...
My favorite question is a guy who jacks off to drawings of men not gay? Like, no one would buy, guys, listen. I know I was rubbing out a fat one to some, like, Sephiroth art, okay? But he's not real. It's just a drawing. I'm not gay. Guys, it's just a drawing. Not gay. No one would buy that. No one would buy that. No one buys this. No one actually buys this, dude. In what scenario does the logic that these people use work? It never does. It never does, okay?
Like Chibi feel comfortable sharing their love for anime children is because they believe since it isn't a real child, then it must be automatically acceptable, as if something not automatically being CSAM is the only criteria we should be worried about, because if it's not a real kid, then what's the problem? Now, as I said, CSAM is objectively worse than Lolicon because actual children are harmed by CSAM. If you claim both are on the same level, then you are being completely disingenuous. However, when people like myself claim that individuals who find cartoon children sexy are degenerate freaks, the only defense I ever see is,
well, at least it's not real sexualized children.
As if there isn't any discussion that could be made somewhere in the middle. Cool, it's not a real kid, thank God. However, just jumping to that one extreme every time and acting like it's the end-all be-all of this discussion is also extremely disingenuous. Like, I can still say you jerking off to a drawing that is meant to look like a kid makes you a degenerate fucking freak, especially when you share that shit on your large platform to praise it. You are admitting that you are attracted to traits that are associated with children.
Yeah, well, at least it's not a real child.
That's not the discussion. You are attracted to attributes associated with little kids, and defending this by claiming it's just a drawing doesn't mean your sexual preferences are fake. Believing CSAM is way worse than Lolicon and believing that people who are attracted to Lolicon are fucked up in the head is not mutually exclusive.
Most of the time when people are this adamant about lolly content that are basically saying it is the equivalent of actual real people, most of the time from what I have seen, they turn out to be some form of, like, a problem or criminal themselves, or they have skeletons in the closet.
Okay, so now we're just insinuating that Schlepp is a pedophile because he said Lolicon is pedophilia?
Yeah, they do love this. Anytime you call out Lolicon as being creepy, they're gonna come and they're gonna call you a pedophile. They love doing this. This is like one of their go-tos.
Crazy leap past the bounds of logic, but reaching for a shit talking point isn't anything new for this video.
I feel like Schlepp should be really ashamed of himself for even making a post like this. Once again, if he wanted to call lollies and stuff weird, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That is completely...
Don't forget that sometimes these drawings are traced over real pics. It's definitely possible. That's true. When you don't know where a drawing came from or what it was referenced from. That's a good point. Yeah, just because it's a drawing doesn't mean it wasn't derived from real CSAM. That's a good point.
Fine.
Going back to this admittance of, yeah, lolly is weird, and I understand why people don't like it, even though we're talking about Lolicon, which is the sexualization of lollies, and not just lollies themselves, but I digress. Chibi titles a video, Lolicons are weird. in quotes, as if he's mocking people who say this. And to be fair, being attracted to cartoon children is not just a little bit weird or a situation of, I personally don't like that. It's kind of strange, but you do you. No, this is past the realms of just being weird. You are a creep if drawings of little girls cause you to pop a boner. End of story. I'm not gonna pretend this should be socially acceptable or should be normalized. And people like
Good shit. I know this isn't like the craziest high bar to set, but you know, good shit, Diesel Patches. I'm always glad to see when a large content creator comes out to just unequivocally call this out and denounce it, because for a good few years there, I felt kind of alone. I'm not even gonna lie, I felt kind of alone in this great battle. I think people are now really realizing how much this, like, creepo lolicon community has consolidated and built and grown like behind the scenes last few years, and how now this like weirdo Chibi Reviews, who most people, I always hear them say, how does he still have an audience? And I'm like, because these people were allowed to grow unabated, uncalled out for years before now, when everyone's like, who the fuck are these weirdos, and is now calling them out. That's how.
Chibi aren't just doing this behind closed doors. They're loud and proud about their sexual desire for cartoon little girls. It's not about Lolicon being used to control their deviant urges, but to normalize it. Why do you feel the need to post images of sexualized cartoon children if not to make it more acceptable in the eyes of others? I really don't know why Chibi thought making a Lolicon defense video was at all necessary. Like, sure, debunking Schlepp for possibly conflating CSAM and Lolicon makes sense, but if Chibi's video just focused on that talking point, then I wouldn't be making my video. That distinction is worth bringing up, but again, it's this constant downplay of Lolicon. Sure, it's not real children, but it's still vile and deserves to be shamed, especially when you keep parading it around. Chibi isn't the only one who's loud and proud about his Lolicon obsession. I've seen people write a whole-ass college thesis-length essay on why it's okay for them to jerk off to prepubescent characters. This shit is spreading like a sulfuric-smelling wildfire.
That's a good way of putting it. Listen, these people are not going anywhere, to be fair. All we can do is ensure that the internet has a strong stance against allowing these weirdos to normalize their shit, and to recognize that the lolly aesthetic is rarely, if ever, being used innocently. It's almost always people trying to do some amount of incremental normalization of this stuff. You've got to be careful with these people. They're fucking weird, and they have agendas around normalizing what they do. That is why Chibi Reviews made this video. It's like, lolicons cannot help but die on Lolly Hill. They have to defend it. They have to normalize it. It's their main goal.